Welcome back, Inebri-art. And today I am joined by another musician who I'm going to make a case for is a time traveler.
Oh,
Kerry Alexander from Bad Bad Hats. Welcome to the show.
that's me. And I'm just learning I'm a time traveler, so I can't wait to
Well,
know
you
more.
knew, you knew. So it's like you always see these like internet conspiracies of people like, oh, there's a photo of this person in like the
Oh,
1920s on a cell phone, and
yeah,
this person in the 1910s wearing a T-shirt or whatever.
yeah.
And so when your PR reached out was the first time I'd heard you guys, and I was
Oh,
prepping for the podcast today and listening to your music in the office here, and I'm like, oh my god, these guys are from like 1992, maybe 93, very
hmm
Sonic Youth, Breeders, Pixies, totally my wheelhouse. So
cool.
time
I love to
traveler
hear
is
it.
what I'm saying.
So yes, okay, you're right. Yes, yeah, you're right. You got us.
Yeah, see, I knew it. I could tell. No, but like it's always a pleasure when like we talk to a lot of people, and I have learned to have a different appreciation for music than I used to have, where
Cool.
it's like, oh, they're good. People seem to really enjoy their music, just not my taste. But like
Sure.
you guys hit like teenage Andy, like
We
right.
love to hear
Yeah. Was that
it.
intentional?
Cool.
Like, were you going for like the retro grunge kind of thing?
I mean, I do feel like there's always kind of been like a 90s thing in what we do. I'm sure just because of like our influences and sort of what we always like lean
Yeah.
tours, yeah, because like a band like the Breeders for sure was like part of my musical upbringing, and like Sheryl Crow and like Alanis Morissette.
Hmm.
Letters to Cleo was also one of my favorite bands when I was young.
I know the name, but
So
I
yeah,
can't. I know their music. It just doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're great.
Like,
They're
yeah.
great, and
Okay.
I found out about them when I was like 10 or 11 because Kay Hanley, who's the lead singer of Letters to Cleo, was the voice of Josie in the Josie and the Pussycats live action film
Oh,
that came out
okay.
in like 2001.
Oh,
Um,
so she did like the singing voice?
yes,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
exactly.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so that movie was like one of my favorite movies. Like what could be better, like harder hitting for like a young girl interested in songwriting than a movie about an all girl band
Three
hitting it big,
badass
writing their
musicians.
own
Yeah. Yeah.
songs. Yeah, exactly. So I was like totally obsessed, and the soundtrack is great. They wrote like all original songs like for the movie. A lot of them written by Adam Schlesinger from like Fountains of Wayne.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so like that, yeah, that time for sure like permeates a lot of what we do. We never set out like specifically to like do a certain sound, but I
It
just
just
think
is
we
that how
can't
it
help
came?
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't
I
help
get
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So you have a new fan.
cool. Thank you.
And not only that, but I was watching a bunch of your videos, and you have a song called Detroit Basketball.
Yes, we do.
And I was watching the video, and I'm like, oh my god, there's amazing puns in this.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
So, grunge kid, lover of puns, I'm in.
Yes.
I don't normally ask this, but where does Bad Bad Hats come from?
Thank you for asking. A lot of people don't know.
Okay.
But then once I tell them, they're like, "Oh yeah." So it's a reference to the Madeline children's books, which is like the little girls in the
Mhm.
yellow outfits and
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
Paris
yeah.
with the nun. I read those books a lot when I was young, and there is a book called Madeline and the Bad Hat. And the Bad Hat is like her troublemaking neighbor.
Okay.
So that's what it's a reference to. We always say we don't remember why we chose that name. Like when we chose it, we were just like, that seems good. Like we'll go with that. And then you're just stuck with it for the rest of your career. But yeah, that's what it's a reference to.
Yeah, but those are sometimes the best name. I have a good friend here. I think I'm pretty sure he's been on the show. Everyone calls him Joey Eggs, and it was him and his I think it was his sister's boyfriend at the time went out for a little extracurricular smoke in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah.
And during the conversation, they decided his nickname was Eggs, and it has just stuck. And he's like, I have no idea what the conversation was, but to this day, it's just like, "What's up, Eggs?"
I love it. That's
Yeah,
catchy.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a great name.
Yeah.
So you guys, this is your first album's coming out on April 12th, right?
I know our fourth. We're deep.
Your
We're deep in.
fourth,
Yeah,
but is it called Bad Bad Hats?
it is.
Okay, maybe that's
No.
why I thought it was your first. I
Yeah, no,
apologize.
it is kind of a,
It's not
maybe a
usually
bold
how the
move on
thing's done. Yeah.
not. It's not. We're switching it up.
Yeah. So okay, so your fourth album comes out
Yeah.
on the 12th. Um what was the process like in writing this album? How did it depart from the other three? Or
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing, this is our first time. Well, I shouldn't say the very first time, but this is like a return to self-producing
Mhm.
for us. We our very first EP that came out like a decade ago. That one we made ourselves just like with one microphone and a dream. Um and a kazoo.
Yeah.
But that album, I mean, that was like our first thing, so we didn't really have any expectations or like know how or like anything. And then our very first album, we started working with our friend Brett Bullion, who produced our first three records, and we would always go to the studio with him for like 2 or 3 weeks and work with him in the studio and get it all down. But the fourth album, we went back to making ourselves, sort of accidentally. Like basically, we were in like 2020. We
Mhm.
started a Patreon page just as a way to like stay connected to our fans and also to like stay busy because we were feeling, pretty cut off from creativity and I don't know, just like making music.
Mhm.
So we started a Patreon page where every month we write a new original song, like based off of like a musical prompt. So if it
Oh,
almost feels
cool.
like being back in school, I was like a creative writing major, so it feels
Yeah.
like being back in poetry class. So it's like, okay, this month we're writing a country song, or this month we're writing a pop punk song. And it was fun, like just like trying stuff and let's like putting on different like sonic outfits. And so we would do that like once a week. We'd meet up and just work on a new Patreon song. Um, and in our house, we just record in our basement and usually finish them in like 1.5 days. We'd usually like get the whole song done in a day, and then I'd do the vocals the next day. So really quick pace, just like fun, loose, free.
Yep.
But then eventually we were kind of like, I don't know, some of these songs are kind of good. So then we are like, I don't know, I think maybe this is like the start of our fourth album.
Yeah.
And then we had like four songs that were Patreon songs. And then the other six was like, okay, now we know we're making an album, so like let's like finish it, fill it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a cool. I love that because I feel like it's so easy to kind of get stuck. I don't want to say in a rut, but like in your lane,
Yeah,
and
totally.
and just kind of it's such a good exercise to be like, I am gonna, sculpt today. I mean, like,
Exactly.
why?
Yeah.
I don't know because I've
Yeah.
never done my new thing. I'm making a terrarium,
Oh, I
so I
love
have a
that.
giant jar like right over my shoulder that,
Cool.
and I'm gonna like try and get the vegetation stuff like kind of just out and about in the yard,
Yeah,
and
for sure. That's
it's just,
great.
yeah. And in my I had done one before kind of in a instruction thing, and it died almost immediately, and
Oh.
someone's like, oh, you're gonna do it again? I'm like, well, I won't learn anything if I don't do it
Right, right,
again,
totally. Yeah.
so I love that. Did you find a genre that you didn't expect to like to work in that you really enjoyed, like?
I guess I think well the one it wasn't really unexpected, but we really loved Pop Punk Month. Um, but it wasn't unexpected because that's like the music of our collective youths.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that one felt really like fun and easy because it's like, oh yeah, we know how to do this. Like just like what would Good Charlotte do? And that's what we're gonna do. Um, I'm trying to think of some other ones that like we're like, oh, this was pretty cool. Um, I feel like um surf rock was kind of a fun one.
oh,
Um
that's cool.
yeah, because a lot of them too are like mostly like or not mostly, but like a lot more like tonal things. So I think
Hmm.
like Chris and Con, who do most of like the recording side of it, they had fun being like, oh, like what pedals do we have that will make this sound, or like what should we do to the drums to like give them that like 60s thing. Um So those ones were cool. That's sort of like the throwback ones. We did like a 60s pop month. That one similarly, it was like got some cool like reverbs going and
Yeah.
um brought out like the 12 string guitar that we have. Um oh, actually one month we did a James Bond theme song. to a James Bond movie that doesn't exist. We made up a James
Nice.
Bond
What
title.
was it called?
Time to Kill.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not one? I feel like
I
really?
know. It feels like it would be one, right?
Yeah, it sounds like one.
I'm pretty sure I looked up like a James Bond movie like name generator on the internet and
Oh,
like
that's yeah,
had
that's
it tell
perfect.
me
Yeah.
title ideas. Yes, that one actually that one went pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Bond movies, those they always have a very wide variety of artists they pick from, but when you hear them, you're like, yeah, that's definitely a James Bond.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a good. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we do like daily drawing challenges on our
Yeah.
Facebook page,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
and so we pick like a theme for the month. That was weird. Something just fell off a shelf for like no reason. Um, but we pick a theme for the month, and then every day has a different prompt, and our followers have
Cool.
like 24 hours. So like maybe I'll do a James Bond month
Ooh,
next
that'd be
month.
fun. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
because you're always trying to come up with something cool
Yes,
for people to
totally.
do.
I know. Now we're like 2 years into the Patreon, and I'm like, yeah, it's like, what have we done? And, like trying to come up with
Yeah,
more
it gets
themes.
really hard where you're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to repeat something, and you're like, there's certain things that get a way more engagement. So it's like animals or
Yeah.
mythology things. People love to
Cool.
draw that stuff.
Yeah.
But then you'll be like, oh, we're gonna do like a Star Wars one because people love Star Wars, and like almost no one responds. You're like, all right, wrong crowd. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Our bad. We're
Yeah,
reading the room. We get it.
yeah. Um, Speaking of rooms, so like,
Oh, yeah.
is there gonna be a tour to support?
There is.
Yeah,
Yes.
where are you guys going?
Um, hopefully everywhere. But for now, we'll be coming to the East Coast. We will be
Nice,
in Massachusetts, in
sweet.
Boston and Amherst.
Amherst.
Um,
You're the second person I've interviewed that's playing that same like
oh,
Amherst and
really?
Boston thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We've
Um,
never played Amherst, so I'm
I will
excited.
not go see you in Amherst.
Okay, that's
It's
okay.
it's just too far. Like I
Right,
think
because it's
New
Western.
Jersey's practically closer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Boston's easy though.
Okay,
But
cool.
would it be your first time in Boston?
No, Boston we played, I think we just played our 10th show there, which is
Oh
very
wow.
exciting.
Okay,
I
so
know.
you're
We've been
practically Bostonians.
Yes, thank you. That's what we feel.
Yeah.
So yes, Boston we've played many times and always honestly that's one of our favorite places to play. We just often have a really great crowd there and the venues are really nice. But Amherst will be a first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
a very it's basically a town built around a college,
Right.
and the college has a reputation as a party school.
Okay.
So
Okay. So
it'll
people will
probably
be
be a lot of fun.
okay. People going a
But
little nuts. We're ready.
yeah,
We
it
can take it.
might be a little on the shit show side of things,
Okay.
but that can be fun.
Okay. I wonder what time we play. That's usually
Oh, that'll
a
be a big
factor.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
That's
But
cool. Well, we're
where's
ready.
yeah, where's like your favorite places to play?
There's so many great places. It's honestly hard to choose. Like I will say, like honestly, like a place like Boston always stands out as we've had really good times there. DC is usually like that's a
Really?
really good turnout for us, for whatever reason. Um, but also I don't know, there's just like certain venues that like we've just played a lot of times. Like sometimes you go to a city and you play like a different venue like every single time you go there.
Yeah.
But like Cleveland, Ohio, we like almost always have played this place called Beachland. So it's like every time we're there, it just feels nice and like homey, and it's like, oh, we're back.
Yeah.
Um,
I totally get that. We do events at all these different breweries, and there's just some that we've worked with for so long that
yeah,
you just roll in. No one like has to tell you anything. You know where everything
yeah,
is.
totally.
You know where the employee bathroom is, and you're like, I'm not
Yes,
waiting in lines.
yeah, yes, exactly. I know my way around the block.
Yeah.
But it's also really nice to like tour on the West Coast and like the Southeast. It's just like the landscape is so beautiful and like different from what we're used to in Minnesota. So that's always like a nice
Do
thing.
you guys still have like 8 feet of snow outside, or what's going on?
We did not have snow until last night, and
Oh,
now there is
really?
a
I was just
dusting.
cracking
Yeah.
jokes. Like I didn't.
No.
Uh,
Yeah. We really think we had some like 60-degree days like a few weeks ago, which is like unheard of for like February and March. So we were like, wow, maybe like spring is here. And then
yeah, it is
Minnesota
not.
was
I
like, no,
think
it's not
last
here.
time I looked, it's like 25 degrees out here, and it should be like in the mid to high 50s by now, and it's
Yeah.
So cold. I'm not
So
enjoying
cold.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So there's two other band members. How is your process for writing music? Do you kind of write the songs together, kind of like someone work on something and then bring it to the group, or
Yeah, so um usually starts with me. So I'll like, I feel like my writing time is like usually like at night,
mm-hmm.
like after dinner, I'll sit on the couch, watch some TV, like hold my guitar and like do some strumming.
Yeah.
That's when I come up with stuff. So usually I write like what I refer to as like the open mic night version of the song.
Okay.
So it'll be like, all the chord progression, the melodies and like the lyrics. So I could like play the song all the way through for you just like on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Um, but then that's usually what I bring to the to the band. Um, and sometimes like I will say like we are now back to a duo.
Oh.
Our longtime drummer Khan left the band last year. But the three of us made this record together.
Okay.
Um, so so sometimes so Chris and I are the members. And we were the original members.
Mm-hmm.
And we're married. So we live in the house together. So sometimes like I'll write a song and then Chris will do like a little demo.
Yeah.
Um and like try some guitar parts and like come up with some bass parts and then it's like then that's what we bring to the studio. But other times it's just like we just bring my little demo, like voice memo, to the studio and just like figure it out like
Yeah.
at the moment we're recording. So yeah, it kind of depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is it better or is it challenging? That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like living, being a partner and in a band together, like do you have to like compartmentalize? There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Kind of things, or is it like no band talk at the dinner table? That
No,
kind
no.
of.
I don't know. I think honestly, like I think we just it feels very natural to us. I think maybe because like the band and our relationship have sort of are the same age. Like we like started dating and like basically right away we're like we're gonna make music together. Um so I don't know, it like has never really felt challenging.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think the only maybe slightly challenging thing is just like in general 'cause it does feel like running like a small business, so it's like sort of that thing where you like never really get a break from it because it's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's like wonderful to not have like office hours, but also that means it's just like it's always office hours. um
Oh my god, I feel seen.
yeah. Yeah, totally.
That is. You're like, oh, it's 9 o'clock. I have to swing by the office because I forgot to do something crucial, and I have
Yeah,
no
yeah.
choice. And yeah,
Yeah. So I don't
I
want
get
to
it.
complain too much because it's a wonderful thing to like run our own business and sort of like make our own hours and stuff. But it is kind of some days when it's particularly busy, it just feels kind of like nonstop. So that's hard sometimes because it's like you just like can never really like turn it off. But for the most part, I think part of like our longevity is like based around the fact that we have each other and um help each other like through like some of the harder times and inspire each other and root for each other. So I think it's nice to have that partner.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's
we work well
so
together.
important. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
You said longevity. How long is the band? So it's 4 albums.
Yeah.
Started obviously before 2020.
Yes. So we Chris and I met in 2010 in college. But the band, I guess, officially was like named and played our first show in 2012.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah.
look very young, and I don't mean that as
No,
insulting.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone tells me.
You
Everyone
must
tells
get
me.
ID'd constantly.
I do. Yes,
Yeah.
I do. I always have my ID ready. I know what's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so are you going to kind of grab a percussionist to go on tour with, or are you guys just gonna do the duo?
No, no, we will be touring as a four piece
Yeah.
for this record. Just make sure we're playing all those parts that need to be played. It's always sort of we never really restrict ourselves in the studio because we just love the studio and love the recording process. And I'm just like, I don't know what sounds cool to put on this song. It's like this random synth over here, like this random sound over here. But then when it's time to play the shows, you're kind of like, uh-oh, how are we gonna do all that? But
Yeah.
we figure it out as we go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine built himself a recording studio during COVID, and it's very fun because every once in a while it's a really cool space. It's rehearsal studios, his recording studio, and then a venue,
Oh, cool.
and
Yeah.
they get touring acts. And so every once in a while, I'll just be able to like, hey man, can I borrow the studio? And I'll just like
Nice.
roll in, and he records the podcast and Dropbox
Oh,
for
that's
me.
great.
So I don't know. There's something about recording studios just tend to have really cool vibes where they're just
Yeah.
very chill, dark. There's always a comfy
Yeah.
couch for some reason, you
Yes,
know.
totally. I
And
know it is sort of I still we made this record in our house and we have like a little like studio
yeah,
room in our basement. And that was fun. It's like cool to have that ability. But to me there is something about like going like leaving the house and like going to the studio to like work on a record. I don't know, it's like going to the office or something. It feels good.
yeah. I learned that very early on in COVID, because I got laid off from my regular office day job,
Yeah.
and that's when I'm like, all right, it's time to make this business happen
Cool.
fully.
That's great.
And it was maybe like 3 months in, and I'm like, I can't do this from home.
Yeah.
I'm not a work from
Yes.
home person. I'd be the guy that hooks his mouse up to the fan that jiggles it around so
Yeah,
people
yeah.
think I'm working. So yeah, I have to get up and shower and get dressed and go somewhere.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's I respect people who can do it. It's just not my
I
jam.
know. You gotta
And
know yourself. Yeah.
it's too easy to be like, I'm gonna go take a nap, and then
I
like 4 hours
know.
later, be like, shit.
I know. Yeah, to me, I just like it's very distracting being home to be like, oh, like I should do laundry. Like I should like be over here. Like, oh, what's this over here? Yeah,
Yeah,
it is nice to sort of go away.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys already working on the next album? Like now
We
that
are actually, yeah.
I feel like it has to feel like such a job now because the way with social media and the algorithms, like you constantly have to generate stuff, which I
Yeah.
think that part of that coolness of that Patreon is it almost forces you to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, in some ways it's like I feel like I've entered like one of the more like fruitful times of my like songwriting career. Just because it's like, oh dang, like got to come up with a, you know, stomp and holler song this month.
Yeah.
Like
And it
we're just
gives you a
doing it.
great and I found this recently where I have started to draw single line drawings. So you
Mm-hmm.
put the pen
Yeah.
down, you don't pick it up.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
And I find it gives me like this freedom to be like, it's not going to be perfect. It
Yeah.
can't be perfect.
Right.
And so, like, do you get that same feeling where you're like, we're only writing this in like the matter of a couple days, and
Yeah,
it's not our
totally.
genre. So, like, does it give you that kind of freedom? To be like, it's okay if it's not awesome.
Yes, totally. And I think it is like not that we're like not trying to do a good job because like we are, but like I do think it's like, yeah, it's something like being sort of like outside of yourself or something. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, this isn't what people like expect from me, or like this isn't what, you know, Bad Hats like is or something. So
Yeah,
it's just like you just like feel like you can be like a different person. You're just like, I'm just Kerry, like trying to write a French pop song. And yeah, like
yeah.
I don't even have an
This is my
expectation.
Eurovision song.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I don't have an expectation. You don't have an expectation. So, like, it could be anything. And that is really cool. Cause I do think, like, once, like, you have the band and you sort of like people, you just start to feel like people expect a certain thing from you and you, like, want to deliver that or want to rise to that. Like, it does put certain, like, parameters on what you do. Or you just, like, think about it in a different way. So, it is cool to just sort of be like, I don't know. It's like we're just trying this over here.
When you're working on a song, whether it's your Patreon
Yeah.
or a real song, do you ever get that kind of moment? I get it all the time where I like start working on something and I'm like, oh, I hate this so much. but then I kind of force myself to just kind of keep working through it, and eventually it'll take a turn and kind of come back to, even if it's not where I expected it, but to something I can appreciate.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess maybe like in some ways that's like the Patreon has been like a good lesson in that because I feel like before it would like if I was working on something that was like maybe wasn't clicking, it's
Yeah.
just like you just like abandon. I would just like stop and just like be like whatever. Like, you know, that didn't work. So
I feel like
we'll
that's
just
such the easy thing to do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just like, no, we'll just see if that becomes a better thing later. But yeah, I guess with the Patreon, like it has kind of been like, I actually need to like write the song like today. So like we just have to sit here and like, like figure it out. So yeah, I think that has been kind of like a good lesson of just like, I don't know, see what's in there. Um, and also just too, it's like I think yeah, I think sometimes it's like maybe you're not aware of if something is like good or not, like for whatever reason, like you just like I just like don't have like the reference point or something to be like, I don't know if this is good. So I think sometimes you just have to sort of like go with where like inspiration is taking you, even if you're
Hmm.
like, I don't know if this is cool, but I think sometimes it ends up being cool because it's just like, yeah, it just becomes what it becomes.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to go through old sketchbooks and I'll either be like, I
Cool.
forgot I drew this, or like, I used to hate this, but this is actually okay. And
Yeah,
that
totally.
kind of, yeah, it's fun to kind of like look back on that stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Do you get the prompts from your Patreons, or do you guys come up with them on yourself?
We mostly come up with them, but I think some of the earlier ones we were based off of like prompts we had done. We did like a YouTube
Yeah.
series where we just played cover songs. And some of those themes were we got from our fans. So we took a lot of the cover show themes and turned those into the Patreon theme. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, in sort of like a roundabout way, yes.
Nice. Um, what's probably the weirdest? I'm sorry if I'm like focused. It's just it's such a novel way of staying in touch with your fans.
Yeah,
I mean, I
totally.
saw so many people doing like, hey, we're gonna live stream, and everyone's
Yeah.
just trying to do their best. I mean, we even ran a live stream from a local beer store downtown
Oh, cool.
Plymouth.
Yeah.
Um and but what was I just apologize for asking repeated questions about this, and then I blanked on the question I was going to ask. Brains, they don't always
No,
work.
I think was it maybe about like some of the themes, like the
Oh, I was gonna
weirdest
say,
theme.
yeah. What's the weirdest like theme that you've done? Well, there was the James Bond one, but was there any?
James Bond one, that one was pretty
Yeah.
unique. Um, I don't think it would have been like too weird. I think that one of the harder ones that I'm not sure we were that successful with was we did a like a time signature theme, so like write a song like not in 4/4. But
Oh, okay.
I'm not like I don't come from like a music theory like background. Like
Yeah.
I just like taught myself guitar. So like I wasn't very like I had never written a song not in 4/4. So that one was like a little tricky for me to even figure out how to like write lyrics to like a
Yeah.
7/4 something. I took all these like notes to try to like be like, okay, it's like you need like this syllable, this syllable, this syllable, this syllable, and then that's the end of the line. So it's just like trying to like write it out so I could understand. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of all the themes. Um,
But something like that's the kind of thing that I think is really great about it, is it
yeah,
pushes you in ways that you wouldn't have necessarily even thought to do, you know?
no, yeah, totally. Oh, we did yacht rock. That one was pretty fun.
Okay.
Um, I did write a boat themed song for Yacht Rock
Nice.
month. Lots of boat metaphors.
Last summer I went and saw a yacht rock cover band
Sick.
called
Yeah,
Yachtly Crew.
that's great.
They were great.
Love it
The crowd was annihilated. Like
for sure.
some of the drunkest people I've ever seen. It's
Yeah.
just like we're kind of ruining your time because you're not as, like, I mean, I've had a couple beers, but bro, like move over. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
totally.
but fun band. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
are you a yacht rock fan, or was that just kind of
I do like a lot of yeah. I think like once I because like for every theme, I'll do like research on
yeah,
it to try to like familiarize myself with like the genre or like the you know artists who are like fall into whatever category it is. Um, and I think like reading about it, I was like, oh, I like I wouldn't have thought of this band as like yacht rock, but I guess like it makes sense. So, but like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah?
so like
It's
I
very open to
it
interpretation.
is yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoy some Steely Dan. You know, I enjoy some uh who else is in that category? Like Michael McDonald or
I was just gonna
something.
say Michael
Yeah.
McDonald's the one that always jumps to
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's like great songwriting, like really like great melody, catchy melodies.
I always
so yeah,
find
I
it
do
like
enjoy it.
good cookout music, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So
Yeah, it's
like kind
easy
of everyone
going.
knows it, you know, you kind of hum along and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
fun.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a genre of music that you just like you're like, nope, not my thing?
Not really, honestly. Like I feel like I mean there's certain genres I don't know as much about.
Yeah.
Just like not as well versed in it. Um, um, but yeah, I pretty much find something to like in everything. I enjoy country music. I enjoy like top 40 pop. Um, I like I love jazz. I went through like a big jazz um moment like in high school. I like took every like jazz history class I could take. Um,
I loved playing in jazz band in high
yeah,
school. That was like my absolute favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So
great.
yeah, I feel like most I like dance and like dance music. I think maybe like my knowledge base for like harder rock is limited.
Yeah.
But even like I feel like I discovered like Turnstile like a year or so ago and just like
I don't know who
really
that
loved it.
is.
You should check it out. They're great.
Turnstile.
Um like a I guess they would I don't know if they'd be described as like hardcore or something, but um yeah, I don't know. I kind of
Yeah,
like it. Kind of like it
I
all.
a few years ago I discovered a hardcore band through it's not even their cover band. They have like almost like an alternate identity.
Yeah.
Where I guess the guitarist showed up for band rehearsal one day. He's like, I want to start a mariachi band.
Oh, cool.
And they're like, yeah, let's do that.
Sick.
And so their hardcore band is the Bronx. And so then their
Okay.
other band is Mariachi El Bronx.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I know
They're
about that.
fantastic. Like
Yeah.
I just had I have they opened up for I went and saw um Flogging Molly and Go Go Bordello and they opened up and I'm like, these
Sick.
guys are amazing.
Yes,
So
I think I know about them because I think like Spin Magazine like many years ago um put together like a Prince covers compilation.
oh,
Um
that's right. They did a
I
yeah.
Would Die for You, I think was what they did.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good, really good.
Yeah, it was for like West Coast radio station, I think, or something.
Yeah.
That that's a really if my memory serves, I don't remember the radio station, but when bands go to play there, there's either like a list or a wheel that they
Yes.
spin or they can pick off the list. And once you've picked something off the list, no other band in that
Okay.
year or season or whatever can play that.
Okay.
So like they were on there, Guar was on
Sick.
there
Yeah.
playing some weird, and I'm like, that's such a neat,
Yeah.
cool kind of same exercise that you're doing.
Totally. I love
Yeah,
it.
I love it. So yeah, you got to get outside your box and try
Yes.
something new.
Yes, and that's like sort of like this whole album sort of like started with that and continued. I mean, at the end of the day, like we always kind of end up sounding like Baba Hats because it's just like we can't deny who we are,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's
I
still
mean,
the process was still very inspiring and cool for this
yeah,
record.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's so exciting. Um, so Bad Hats, the album number,
Yes.
it's the fourth one.
The
It's like
fourth.
a
Yeah.
Metallica thing. I think Metallica did that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Um, but comes out April 12th.
That's right.
All
Yep.
right. So the only information I had that was wrong was it was your first album. So
Yeah, yeah, no.
I'm
And
okay with
that
that.
makes and like you said, it makes
Yeah,
sense
it
because
just
of the
threw me.
self-titled. Yeah.
Where can people go to, purchase it, join your Patreon, all that
Yeah, I mean,
shenanigans
I
stuff?
think babahats.com has links to most landing
Yeah.
places. But yeah, the album is free orderable on Bandcamp.
Yep.
And we're just patreon.com/badbadhats is I think how you find that. Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Are you gonna have like vinyl? Uh,
Yep.
I'm so close. I know it's gonna be a problem for me. That I'm
Yeah.
just, yeah, like once I buy one, I'm like I might as well just buy all of them.
Yeah. You need them all.
Um,
You got to complete the collection for sure.
yeah, I'm such a collector nerd. So like I haven't bought an album yet, but I'm so close, and I'm like I just know I know it's gonna happen.
Yep.
I know me. And then you start buying
Got it.
collections because it's a good deal, and you don't really
Yeah.
want them all. And you're like, what do I do with all these extra records? Yeah,
Yes. But yeah, I love that. I love the vinyls coming back. It's just like, I just love the big art. It's really nice. It's just,
yes.
yeah.
Like that was one of my favorite things. Like as a kid, getting the albums. I remember one of my favorites at the time was a Jethro Tull.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Stand Up was a pop up, but there was another Thick as Brick maybe, but it was like a newspaper and opened up, and it was like
Oh, cool.
not an actual newspaper, but like
Yeah,
multiple pages, and
that's cool.
just such a cool design thing. So
Yeah, like I love I think the Grammys has an award for like best album
oh, do
like
they? That's
yeah, for
cool.
like best like design of like
Yeah.
a record, which is great because people are still coming up with like really cool like innovative ways to like design the album sleeves and stuff. So it's cool.
Do you get really involved in designing the artwork and sleeve for yours?
A little bit. I think we don't have quite the budget to be too crazy, but
Yeah, yeah.
I do enjoy the process of yeah, coming up with the cover art. Honestly, like for most of our albums, it was like we'd always like forget that we needed to do that part because you're like, okay, going down the list, like we did this, we did this, we did this. You're like, oh my God, like we forgot about the
Yeah.
album art. Oh my
Oh,
God.
people are gonna probably want to look at it, huh?
I know, yeah, totally. So it is funny that it has been a little bit of like a last minute thing for some of our previous albums, but it's worked out great that we've gotten really cool artists to make art for us or let us use their already made art.
Yeah.
But for this one, I take a lot of pictures. I always like to have a camera with me on tour or like when I'm traveling. And I just took a picture when I was on Staten Island with a really good friend of mine. We're just like wandering around and I just like snapped a picture. And when I got the film back, it's like something about this picture. I was like, oh, it's like so cool. It's so
I
beautiful.
told you were a time traveler. You
Yeah.
sent out film to be developed. I
I
knew it.
did. Yeah.
I knew
I
it.
did.
Proof right there.
So that's cool. So this is the first cover that I guess I like did. So that's cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to fund Kerry's time traveling exploits,
Yeah.
you can head over to Patreon, support her.
That's
Thank you for
right.
coming on and talking to us. This is a lot
Yeah,
of
thank
fun.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
and
having me.
I will definitely be keeping an eye out for when you guys come out to Boston, and
Yes, please do. I know
I'll
we
come
won't
in.
see you in Amherst, but we might see you in
Screw
Boston.
that. Drunken college students that are 2 hours away. No thanks.
No thanks. Yeah, it's fine. We
Yeah.
get it. We get it.
But yeah, I'll definitely try to stop by and say hi. And for our listeners, like I said, make sure you check out Bad Bad Hats on April 12th. And we'll catch you guys again next week. And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.